Time to start the program. Yep. It's Thursday night. That means the Orange and Blue Blood Thursday is up. We got Kyle standing by with the news on the transfer portal. And of course, our regular crew Ben Troop, Lauren Meadows, and Fran Spirit. Stand by and tell your friends and neighbors the Buddy Martin Show is now officially on the air.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. It's a Thursday, almost said Thursday night. I get that straight in my head. We're on now Monday through Thursday as usual. Probably pick up one more show later on. We got some plans to announce later on. But tonight on this program, we got some outstanding guests. Hope you'll tell your friends and neighbors to join us. We love hearing from you. And you can guide this show with your comments. But the guy who's been guiding it lately is back from Omaha. Yeah, he had that Ted and Allison and Kyle wonderful adventure out to Omaha. Is a nice story up on Gator Bait right now. And I think it worked out far better than even he realized as we stand by for Ben Troop, Lauren Meadows, and Fran Spirit. Good evening to you, Kyle.
How are we doing, guys?
Not as good as you, man.
I know. I'm still kind of. Me and my dad were reminiscing earlier. It was definitely kind of a once in a lifetime experience for sure. It was incredible.
That's just one of those things you'll remember all your life. And
yeah, and it was such a historic one. With 20 strikeouts that first day, and then Gators, a complete turnaround that second day, or that second day with 24 runs. Obviously didn't end the way that us Gator fans wanted, but they fought till the end, and it was a team that showed resilience the whole time, and it was just a lot of fun to kind of be out there and see what Omaha was like, and kind of the mecca of college baseball.
Yeah, I understand that you consumed enough Jello shots to get Florida up ahead of LSU. You and your dad and his friend. Yeah,
we were there. We got there Friday, and the first game was Saturday. So we got there kind of early, and we actually hit it then. But after those games, we tried to stay clear there because it was just so packed, and it was like 95% LSU fans and drunk LSU fans, and Gator fans don't go together well.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree with you. And by the way, we'll get to the other news on the program tonight. Some players who are leaving the program, but don't panic. So just to sum up, tell people what you did, who you went with, how many nights you were there, and what was your favorite experience about going to the World Series in Omaha.
Yeah. All right. So it was Friday morning, and I had talked to you when the College World Series had initially started, and I was like, I really want to go. And really the whole thing was the tickets out there were super expensive, having to deal with where we're staying and all that stuff. And whenever the day after, when we found out, we were going to be in the World Series and stuff like that, my dad was like, all right, let's do this. So we got in the car and we drove to Atlanta because that was the closest airport. And, once we got that train moving, some of my friends from college went, some of my dad's buddies from when he was in school went. My uncle even met us out there. and it was really just great. We were able to go out there, and even outside of the baseball, we went to a lot of cool restaurants in Omaha. I had no expectation for what Omaha was going to be like.
No, you don't think of that being Party Central in Omaha. You leave me
No,
out a
not
key
at all.
part, though. Leave me out a key part. You had the magic weapon. You had a media credential.
Oh my gosh, my dad was jealous the whole time. He was like, dude. And I'm like, you don't have to buy tickets for me and you now. You got to get yourself some nice seats. But no, the city of Omaha was great. Really going into it, like I said, I didn't have much expectation. I kind of just thought it was just kind of the baseball park there.
Right.
And I pleasantly surprised. I mean, there was streets up and down. It was super modern. A lot of cool places to eat. We went and got drinks the first night. It was wonderful. But I would say my favorite part, dude, I got to go on the field before the games, and that just being able to be there and have the crowd go all around me. I mean, I FaceTimed my mom, and I was like, this is just the coolest thing ever. They're taking like ground balls, and fans are flooding in. It was honestly just one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. But outside of the baseball, I would say my favorite part was probably we went to this really good steakhouse, and they had a whiskey ribeye steak. And Omaha is famous for their cuts of steaks, so we had to go there. But that was all in all, it was a 10 out of 10 trip. The only thing that could have made it better was obviously the Gators, taking home the hardware.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool the night you were on here before you left, and you and your dad had arrived in Atlanta, and you were both there on talking, and then your mom popped in. It's been a message.
Yeah, she's always supporting.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the news today. A little surprise, I guess. I don't know why. After I think about it, but number one, Derek Fabian, one of our favorite players, and a guy you know well, and his family, and you wrote about last week, is leaving the program. I'm sad for that because that's one less kid from Ocala that we won't have there, and a friend of yours. So that's one thing. Secondly, there were a list of others there that are leaving, and I don't think it was a killer, maybe one. But give me the list that you got. There are the players leaving the program, and tell me what your thoughts are. Did I lose your Kyle? Looks like I did. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get Kyle back. Looks like he's frozen. Okay. So let's try it again. All right. Here he is, coming back to us. Looks like you got a bad Wi-Fi.
Sorry about that,
there, brother. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
All right.
But Gator transfers for baseball. It's 5 guys entered today. One of them, pitcher Carson Finvold, actually entered. I believe it was right before the Super Regionals. But other than Carson Finvold, we have catcher Renee Lastris, pitcher Tyler Nesbitt, outfielder Matt Prevesk, pitcher Cleet Hartzog, and infielder Derek Fabian. And then this is kind of my review on the whole thing is outside of, Derek Fabian, I don't know if there were guys that were really going to have a major impact next.
I agree.
Especially in the era of the transfer portal, and how, Florida is more of reloading right now rather than, refueling. So, they're probably better off either going out and testing the water somewhere else where they're able to, get those at bats and stuff like that. Because we actually ran into Derek's dad in the airport on our way to Omaha.
That's Eric. That's Eric, right? Eric.
Yes.
Now, who is Matt?
Who
is Matt? A brother?
I think Matt's their uncle. Yeah, I think that's Eric.
Because I always see him tweeted something. Yeah.
I always see him tweeting, but he was like, because Derek is actually, he was telling us about his, I'm like, dude, how are you handling and juggling around? Because Judd's going to AAA or Derek's in the College World Series. I'm like, how are you guys doing all this traveling? And he mentioned that Derek was going right to Cape Cod League right after this. And he was like, yeah, just anything to get those at bats. Because, Derek's a great player. And I think that he really would have been able to find a spot
Yeah,
in that infield
Mr.
next year.
Baseball in the state of Florida. I mean, come on. I mean, he had a great
Yeah.
season at last year at North Marion. I'm sorry for him and his family, but it happened, and you can put a little twist on that when you get done. But yeah, so you talked to them, right? Not since, but you talked to them before. Were you surprised that Derek decided to leave?
I, I, I'm, I don't know if surprised is the right word. I'm not shocked by it, but I would have been expecting kind of either way. I mean, I just trying to put myself in Derek's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he played in 40, 50 something games last
Yeah.
year as a true freshman
Yeah.
with his
Yeah.
brother.
Right.
He was a really key contributor. Came in this year when he was needed to,
Right.
and he showed up when he needed to. So I understand it from both sides, and this is just kind of the new era of college sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's football, basketball, softball,
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
best of luck to all of them.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was just going to
Best of luck to
say,
all of them.
I think your point was well taken. I didn't mean to interrupt you because you're missing. You're about you're beat behind. Sorry, my fault. Is that I put myself in this position. I played baseball. If I could have transferred and anybody wanted me, I'd have gone. But I wasn't that good. I'm sorry for us because people here in North Central Florida, at Ocala, we got to see Judd play. Now we thought we'd get to see Derek play, and now he won't be here. He'll be at some really good program because he's a heck of a player.
No, he's 100% going to find a home somewhere.
Yeah, and then his hit at the end there added the last 2 runs in the classic win they got in Game 2. So
I was really happy for him right then because the night before, he came in and pinched run in the 9th inning, I believe.
Yeah, stayed in, right?
He stayed in, and then he had to get put in he got put in the batting lineup right when it was 2 outs. We're already down 1.
Right.
And it was just a hard spot to be in for a baseball player. Nonetheless, that was his first at bat of the whole postseason. So, as even if a guy who's already been up 4 or 5 times, no one wants to be the last batter, the last out. But that was also his first postseason at bat. To see him, get a hit, get an RBI, get a few nice plays at first, that was cool to see.
Very much so. So, final question for you, and that is, where does the baseball team go from here? The 5 key players are gone, which we know. Just Ryan Pell alone, his leadership will be really missed. But how do you see now the next phase of this Sully baseball team?
I think we've already gotten 2 big recruits. We got a guy from Alabama, and then we already got, I believe he was I forget which conference he was in, but he's an all-conference pitcher. So kind of like not as good as Hurston Waldrop, but it's kind of a reload. And then I'm kind of looking for the core that we have now to step up and, take that role that BT did so well. And, Caglione, Luke Heyman, Cade Curlin, these are all guys who were key contributors, and they know what it's like to get to Omaha and get to that final game of the season. So, having those kind of guys on your team as that key contributors as true freshmen is going to pay dividends. And I would not be surprised to see Florida make another deep run in the postseason next year. And right now, I think that, Sully's going into this offseason. It is so important in college baseball to have that three pitcher rotation who can give you 5 or 6 innings and, get into that late game situation and have yourself have a chance. Over those 3-game series versus LSU, I think our starting pitchers went a combined like 7 2/3. So I think that's probably the main focus right now is finding some consistency right there. But they're going to reload. They're going to be ready, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them at the top next year.
Got another catcher from Coastal Carolina transferring in. And what's funny is that we talk about all these players, and we don't even name the guy who just hit 5 home runs in the World Series.
Oh, yeah, Ty Evans.
Yeah.
How about that, man?
I mean, we didn't mention he's coming out. 5 home runs in the World Series. He can't get a mention.
I know
Unbelievable.
Ty Evans.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know
Not
if you
just
guys
you.
could tell
We all did the
from.
same thing. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can tell from at home, but the grand slam, I thought it was going to be short and
Yeah.
foul.
Yeah.
And the wind was blowing like crazy that day. I actually had a malfunction walking up to the stadium. My backpack was all open and all my papers like flew out everywhere because of the wind. But the wind was blowing crazy that day, and the Gator at bats were hot, and it was that was a great game to go to because the LSU fans were running out by the sixth inning, and they had just given us a bunch of crap the night before. So it was a nice 12 hours there.
Yeah, well, you have a scrapbook of memories there, and it's going to be a long time. Well, you'll never forget that. That's for sure. Congratulations on the writing you did, and final thoughts about if you want to tell somebody about your experience. What's the number one thing?
Let's see what else. We went to after when we won 24 to, I believe it was 4. We went to a Mike Miller sponsored bar down there in Omaha because Mike Miller's son, and Mike Miller played basketball at Florida, played NBA I think for about 14 seasons. But Mike Miller's son now plays at Creighton, which is in Omaha, and he just opened up a super cool kind of like sports bar place. So we actually went there and watched some golf, and then we were able to watch all the the marathon of home runs that Florida had that day. So that was also a really cool opportunity for me.
I asked everybody else this question. I might as well ask you over the week, and regardless of what they did in the series, who is your favorite Gator baseball player to watch?
This is easy. This is easy. Hands down, it's Wyatt Langford. I mean, every time he stepped up to the plate, um, I almost felt like a sense of just easiness come over me. And I knew that, it was never going to be a bad at bat. He was always going to go out there and give it his all and at least put bat to ball. And you could always count on him whenever, we needed that hit. So I think out of everyone, Florida's going to miss Wyatt Langford and probably BT Ripel the most, just from the leadership and production point of things. But yeah, no, Wyatt Langford, man, he's gonna be good for a long time in the majors.
I'm going to keep you just for a minute because Ben's delayed.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about some football, which you're turning your pages over to. And by the way, I want to make an announcement tonight that Allie Pete Wilbur will now be our regular co-host on Wednesday nights, and she'll be writing a column for us in Gator Bait. And coming up in tomorrow's, sometime tonight when I get it posted, is Allie's Allie's most wanted recruits. And it's really good information. She does her homework. She, of course, and Matt has been doing a knockout job. We wanted to have Matt on the show tonight, but he couldn't do it. He's traveling. And you as
He's
well.
flying into Florida.
Yeah, what's he doing? Where's he going,
I think we're all actually going back to Gainesville for the 4th of July. So I will be with Matt. I think he's actually staying with me this weekend.
I would think you would know, Kyle, if he's staying at your house for crying out loud.
Yeah, no, he's staying with me. He's staying with me.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, one quick thought on recruiting and one quick thought on, I see Ben joining us now, I'll bring Ben on what we do it. The recruiting scoop up, good stuff, good things happening. So there's Ben Troop and there's Kyle Curtis, and final thoughts from Kyle, and we go to the next phase. Ben Troop's in the house. Kyle?
Yeah, no, I think the most exciting thing for Florida football right now is, the staff has a plan and with recruiting, and I don't think you can get lost on Twitter when all these guys are putting their top tens and stuff, and Florida doesn't come down to the top 4. I think it's more the staff is handpicking their guys as they need it, and I think it's going to shape out to be pretty good. And then for the state of football right now, I'm hearing so many good things about those freshman wide receivers, Eugene Wilson and Andy Jean. I think that I haven't heard one bad thing, and I think that those are, especially with Ricky Pearsall being there and being able to mentor those guys. I think that that's a name that we're gonna be saying a lot here these next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, say hello to Mr. Troop and say goodbye to Mr. Troop.
Mr. Troop, it's always a pleasure, my man.
Good stuff, Kyle. Glad you had a great trip, buddy. It sounds wonderful.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great night.
Now, you can see his piece on Gator Bait right now. Ben Troop, what are you doing with that hat on? What are you doing? Where's my hat?
Man, listen. I'm working on my Buddy Martin special because they said listen, I need one for Buddy Martin. They said he's a Tampa Bay Rays fan. Like, yeah, big time Tampa Bay fan.
Mm-hmm. By the way, we won in Arizona.
Tampa Bay actually,
yeah, we just won in Arizona.
No,
just so you know, we won again today. So that's all right.
My mom says, I thought the buddy didn't talk that much about baseball. I said he'll sneak a Tampa Bay Rays scoring anytime. I always get snuck in there. But but I do agree with some of this stuff that be going on in recruiting. Mm-hmm. I'm not the one that use these podcasts or everybody who got a platform talking about what Florida isn't. People saying that Florida don't be drafting D linemen, and I'm like, Florida has a streak for the most D linemen drafted the last 14 years. But I will say this, like I say, buddy, the one thing that Florida doesn't have that some of these other teams have is the product on the field as far as like the wins and losses. And I get that part. I get it. But Florida's still doing really, really good in recruiting. Like I said, I mean, you get those horses in there, we'll see.
Yeah.
Ohio State are, they're the cream of the crop. We'll see.
Yeah, I have a little problem with our Wi-Fi tonight for some reason. I'm sorry about that, folks. Might be on my end. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, so I said earlier, Allie Peak Wilbur is now a regular member of the show on Wednesdays. She does that YouTube podcast, A Peek Inside Gator Football, and she picks once a month. She does her My Most Wanted Players, and it's really good. I mean, insightful, and she comes from a whole family of Gators, as you know. She's graduated from there. Her dad, granddad, and brother all played there, and her married a Gator, and she knows her stuff. She might be the biggest star of all the Peaks and the Wilburs in the end because she's really good. So I'm happy to announce that she's going to be with us and also writing. Let me emphasize the word writing for us. Those of you who write books, writing for. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to intimidate you there. One day Ben will write a piece for us too. I know I've been browbeating you, haven't I?
Yes, one of these days I'm gonna be like, listen. No, but guess what? Listen, I got the lovely Miss Joni right here to the left of me in the left hand corner.
Yes,
so I mean, I just want to say that Rob Brown sends his best, buddy, man. It's like I say, man. It's almost like you never know how much you, as well as your significant other, inspires people. And I said, hey, man, like I say, Buddy Martin let us know, even way back when he met Miss Jonah, he understands you swing for the fences. It doesn't matter that I'm from Ocala. It doesn't matter that you're from Miami. I don't care. You're going to have to, but I'm not going down there. You got to come up here. And 60-some years later, man, that's a E Hollywood movie. That's a 30 for 30 to be able to say, buddy, how did you get Miss Jonah? I just said I'm not going to let her go. It don't matter how she feels. This is it. This is it for Buddy Martin.
Yeah.
And I just, like I said, man, when my daddy used to say, son, you chasing me, I know what he means now. My mom and dad, this year will be, let's see, 25, 35, 45, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. It'll be 46 years.
Wow.
This year. My parents. And the thing about that is, buddy, is when somebody said, I was talking to the gentleman one time, I said, man, what is successful to you? He says, to be married to the same woman for life. That's successful. What you mean? Like, that's it. Like, he says, because everything else comes and goes, right? Houses, cars, money. He says, y'all got so many pictures together that you go, oh, remember this and remember that. So listen, Miss Jordan, she is up there right now saying, that's Buddy Martin. That's him. That's him right there, right? And and he go, and that's his grandson. That's our grandson being right there. See him?
Hold up that thing again. This is my grandfather, Ben Troop. What do you mean he looks? What do you mean he looks different? I don't know
I'm
what
gonna
you
get a shirt. I'm gonna get a shirt to say Buddy Martin's grandson.
and put it,
I don't
my
care.
picture on it right there. No, on Johnny,
Listen, I'm
I
telling
haven't.
you, I'm gonna carry around a picture of Buddy Martin in my wallet,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say, "Listen, man, this is my grandfather. Have you seen him?" They're gonna say, "That's your." What you trying to say? This is him right here.
He'll say, "How come you're so good looking and he not?" That's what he'll say to you.
No. I'm gonna say, listen, man. Let me tell you something about Buddy Martin, right? Buddy Martin would take all the lettuce, tomatoes, peppers in the world instead of stick a big old piece of meat right there on the top.
You know, I got to tell you the bad news. I shut my machine down for the time being. I just got maintenance on it, so I haven't had it in a couple of weeks. But you're right; it's a wonderful thing if you can do it, get it up and get it going. I want to say one thing about Joni. Now, I promised myself I wouldn't make a big deal every time I do a show about Joni, but a lot of sadness and heartache and crying and whatever. And I haven't got to that point where I'm really ready just to celebrate her life. We will do that in August. But the one thing I thought about, what a gift to have 62 years of that woman. 62 years.
Yes.
We were best friends, and
yes.
There's so many good times. We finished each other's sentences, and I mean, it was just she. And the final thing I'm going to say about her, because I know people say, "Oh no, not his dead wife again." I guess got to tell you, she's the most amazing woman I've ever known. The most amazing. And I'm not saying that because
that's what you married. I was always told when a man and a woman make a decision to choose each other every day. So for 62 years, y'all woke up at this. We choose each other. Like you make it. It's a consummate choice you make, right? And listen. 62 years, you got on her nerves. She got on your nerves.
Yeah,
Guess what? I'd rather not do it with nobody else, though.
Of course.
If I'm gonna do it, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Listen, my daddy say I might not be the best dance partner, but you my partner. You the one I'm dancing with. I don't care. And that's what you and Miss Joni had and have is what needs to be celebrated more, because we celebrate so many things that are not concrete. Like they here today, gone today. 62 years means, listen, Miss Joni said, listen, man, when I said I do, I meant that for life. Some people just say vows. Miss Joni meant them. She said, I'm married to a dude named Buddy. For life. Deal with it. I love it, man. I love it. I hope that with everything you've done, Buddy Martin, and you've done a lot, that is what you will be remembered for just as much as the books you read, the road and the Laurel Rutledges that you've had as far as interns and Gator Bait. They're going to say, when I think of Buddy Martin, I think of Joni.
I like
that is the greatest compliment.
Appreciate that.
Because they're going to say, hey, man, look, like my daddy look at me all the time and say, son, I've been your age. You ain't never going to be mine. I hope that you have what me and your mother have. And I said, Daddy, what's that? He says, it's individual to each individual couple. I can't tell you what we have and what you'll have is different. I just hope that the happiness that you seek and the love that you seek is wrapped up in one person. Shout out to Miss Joni, man. Up there in heaven right now. Up there in heaven right now. Saying, listen, going back and forth with the Alabama fans saying, lady, they said, man, you got to take off your Florida stuff. Not as long as he got on his Alabama stuff. I'll take mine off when he took his off.
There you go. Well, thank you for that, man. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to me. You're the best. So tell me this. When did I get to meet your mom and daddy?
Listen, I will personally bring my mother and father to Ocala, Florida. Number one, my mom just loves to drag my daddy places that he ain't really in a position to say no. She's the boss. He just gets in the car and go. Number two, and number two, my mother and father since my dad has his own nonprofit called Men Reaching Men. My mama has her own nonprofit called Sister Soldiers in Christ. And since they've gotten these now, they've done more. My mama and dad went to a prom and they go to the mountain. They do all kind of stuff now. I said, Mama, you and Daddy need a bucket list, and one of them to check off is Ocala, Florida. You need to meet Buddy Martin.
Come on, we need
and
to go.
And just sit down and experience Buddy Martin. So you will get to meet them in person. I said, these are the two crazy people that birthed me right here. This is them.
I'd be honored. Really honored.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ben, officially, maybe not, but as far as I'm concerned, football started. The season ended, baseball. Now the next
Yes.
one is football. And we're starting to get a little steam, but it probably won't be till after July the 4th. And then, of course, the SEC Media Days, which I doubt I'll go to this year. Then we'll start to get cranked up. There's a lot of talk. It's always the off season that gets programs in trouble. And I've been following this a little bit, but not a lot. But there's a lot of trouble in Athens. And some
It
things
is.
are. Let me give you some numbers I just read. I was struck by this. Came out of the Atlanta paper, by the way, not the Florida paper, so you don't think it's somebody beating up on Georgia. 11 players still on the team after domestic encounters. Okay, so they called it. Well, you can only guess what that is, all right? And then this one, over 300 driving related incidents since Kirby Smart took over. That ain't good, Ben. That ain't good. And I don't wish any program bad luck along those lines. But I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back
well,
to.
buddy, just like I know, buddy. I mean, not to number one. What always bothers me about domestic disputes when you talk about college student athletes and on these college campuses is the lack of protection, respect that we have for the young ladies on these campuses, these Title IX presidents and things of that nature. I'm going to say this, and I always say this. I don't care how good the player is, how the person is. Wrong is wrong. You should not get an opportunity to let stuff get brushed under the rug because you are the biggest ambassadors at the school. Shame on any coach, player, administrator who just turns a blind eye. Mm-hmm. Now, people say, well, Ben, you don't know every single thing. I don't. But if these things aren't taken seriously, I'm not for that. I'm really, really not, because at the end of the day, we're these things for very, very limited times. We're student athletes for 4 to 6 years of our lives. We should not get to do things to other people, young ladies in particular, and because of who I am and what I represent, I get this big gigantic defense mechanism to look out for me. Listen, I have sisters. I have 2 daughters that's probably going to go to college. The last thing I want is for them to be on college campuses and have these type of things happen to them, and because of who done it, you can't victimize victims. And I don't care. What if it was no? That comes from the fact that, buddy, we don't do a good enough job as young men, as grown men, as decision makers, protecting these young people, these young ladies. So I don't like it, and I don't like the fact that the national championships, all this stuff, then it comes out. I don't like that. I don't like that we go through all the seasons, then it comes out. Yeah. Make sure you remember these young ladies, man. It's nonsense. Good stuff. Like I said, I don't care. I don't care how nobody feels about it. I just understand that I was a young man on the campus, man. I don't know what it's like to be a young lady, big time campus with these big time players. But I just don't like the traffic infractions is one thing, but the young ladies, that's everything.
Well, Coach Spurrier said, "Don't put your hand on a woman." Period. Ever. Period. If you do, you're gone. That's it. Don't even come around there. Gone.
Yeah, because the whole thing about it is this. Yes, a young lady may put her hands on me, on another man, and I don't like it. Listen. I'm gonna get myself out of that situation by any means necessary, because just like I know, buddy, no matter what, even if provoked, man, I'm not gonna put my hands on her, because it's as soon as I do that, it's over with.
Right.
So I just think that, but I say this too, though, buddy, just like I know, if the bad behavior was not just brushed under the rug, it'll be a trickle-down effect. Mm-hmm. But because it is, you can't let this stuff go. So like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with Georgia. Obviously, because of what they're doing right now, they're going to give them a lot more, leeway. But come on, man. I mean, the traffic infractions, I can live with that. That's you, driving or whatever you're doing. The young lady stuff, though, like I said, listen, these Title IX presidents and directors, we need to know who the hell these people are and what the hell they paying you for. Because if you just like, not to pick on nobody, but just like that stuff that was going down under Ogeron and LSU, come on, man. We got to do better than that. Just got to do better.
France remembers during good evening to you, France. First of all, France remembers that Urban's last 2 or 3 years. It's funny when you get a certain amount of success. That's the most dangerous time. When you start winning and people get entitled and whatever, and they had a lot of things go bad for them up there. That some borderline players that were so-called troublemakers that went worse. One because they didn't put up. They tried not to put up with it. They had assigned people to be with them all the time, but it just happened bad, and Urban got crucified for it. And in my opinion, right now, France, tell me if I'm wrong, University of Georgia is already doing worse stuff than Urban Meyer ever did. Am I right?
It's if it isn't worse, it's borderline close. Let me address something first off that Ben said, and this is this. A man has one excuse to hit a woman, and that is if she's got a gun or a sharp knife and she's trying, or a sharp object and she's trying to harm him. Then you got a right to hit her. Otherwise, you don't. No, under no circumstance do you. If your life is being threatened, you got a right to do whatever you got to do to defend yourself. But otherwise, you don't. And we've got guys who, because they're the biggest and the baddest around, who think, and this not confined to Georgia, although right now Georgia seems to be trying to corner the market on it. These guys, you've got guys, I hate to say the word entitled, but I think you got a lot of guys who feel entitled, particularly when they come into a successful program. They think that, okay, well, because these guys are successes and because we're always winning, I am entitled to do whatever I want to do. And they don't realize that there's a foundation there of success that created it. The second thing I want to say is this. I think Urban got a little bit lean in the way he did, because after Avery Atkins, I think Urban wanted to try to save every kid out there. I really do. Avery Atkins.
Well, for the people who don't know, he was the kid who died from Daytona, who overdosed, and it just about crushed Urban.
Avery Atkins was my friend. I love that kid to death. It still breaks me up when I think about it. I knew him from when he was in high school, and he would come running up to me every time and say, "How am I doing? How am I doing?" He always wanted to know how he's doing, and he needed that affirmation. And perfect example of what happens with a lot of these guys. His girlfriend got pregnant, had a baby, and now all of a sudden it's like, you're going to be in the NFL. They're going to give you money. Give me money. And so he ends up leaving school because of all this stuff, winds up getting with his old buddies in high school who were dealing drugs and everything. And Urban Meyer felt responsible that he had not been able to reach out to this kid and save this kid from a terrible thing. Urban was really broken up by this, and I think he felt the need to save every kid.
He did. You're right. Yeah, he did. That's right, for sure. Hey, real quick, France, you didn't hear this part, I don't think. If you did, stop me. Ben and I started talking about this Georgia thing, and I don't like to bash on the kids. I like Kirby Smart. Steve Spurrier likes him a lot. But this number got me. There's always traffic tickets, whatever. Over 300 driving-related incidents since Kirby's been there. 300, okay? And, of course, not the least of which was the terrible thing that took the lives of some people. And then here's one that's pretty bad right here. I can see here's one. Apparently, in a single weekend, a 16-year-old Georgia football recruit broke curfew, drank with potential teammates in an Athens bar, and ended up in a police station under investigation for sexual assault.
Well, there's no excuse for that. There's no, you can run a first-class program without that. Now, I'm going to throw one
Yeah,
thing.
but Ben, but France, you can run a program. How about the kid? I mean, this is the dangerous part about it right here. When you get
let me get to where I'm saying, buddy. You can run a program without that stuff. You're not going to win with Boy Scouts, period. There are not 22 Tim Tebows around to put on the field. But what you can do is you can take kids who are from disadvantaged backgrounds, which so many of these kids are, and you can read them the riot act when they get there and let them know that this is the way it's done. And you got to take your guys who are in the program and say, you are a leader. You know, when this kid comes on campus, he's underage. You cannot be taking him out to bars. You cannot be taking him out there to where every loose gal in the county is. You have to, you just can't do that. And
I know that, but you did
at the
it.
top.
But it did it. It's been done, and I'm going to say this. I hear what you're saying, but Ben, when you put a 16-year-old boy in with a bunch of stud players, and you give him alcohol, and you see the conduct they have, what's a 16-year-old boy going to do, Ben? What's he going to do? He's going to follow mimic the behavior.
He's going to definitely have to make a decision that, as long as he understands that you don't have to be something different. Like when you're around these big, because we all went through it. Look, when I came on my recruiting visit to Florida, it was highly documented. It was a really, 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 really bad incident that went down with the player. I'm not going to say his name now. I'm not trying to tarnish him, but he was a big time recruit. And something went down when he was there. The police were involved in everything. And you realize really, really quickly that what a lot of these young men start doing is who you are in your hometown is different than who you are on campus. Some of these, you can become something totally different. You got to be really, really strong in your convictions to be able to say, look, man, it's not that serious. Like, I don't care, not saying this happened, but I don't care about being ridiculed and laughed at strictly because I don't got to be the life of the party. I could be, and I think a lot of these young men is, like you said, 16 years old. Alcohol is there. He's partaking in it, right? That's one thing. But then you're already acting erratic. You're doing something you don't do. Now, you find yourself in a situation with a young lady, right? Acting erratic again. I do not condone neither one, but I definitely don't condone the second one. Because what happens is, because of who he is, they're going to protect him. And because of who she is, they won't. That's a problem.
Yeah,
and friends and buddy, y'all know this. The better he is, the more high profile he is, the more protection he gets. And look, I can say Urban Meyer, Kirby Smart, Steve Spurrier, Ron, they almost have an impossible job. It's 85 of us. 5. How do I control 85? It's almost impossible because we all think different. You can't get to Florida if you ain't got some kind of ego now. You don't got to be a jerk, but you got to have some type of moxie about you to even get to these places. But that doesn't, listen, and I'm not going to, there was a young man that was at Florida State. I'm not going to name his name, right? But when he had his struggles, because he was so good, none of that stuff came out till after the Heisman's and national championship. And I just said, look, if you are the Title IX president at these colleges and universities and you are complicit with the bad behavior, you need to be disciplined. I don't care who you are. If you are complicit, because, like I said, I don't get to be somebody's nightmare. Like what y'all just told me about the young man with the whole, that's a whole other thing with the whole going to the NFL and having a baby. That stuff in your head, like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Man, It happens every day. But because you have profile, and these people telling you that you're going to take all your money and all this, a life is lost. So, and I know that's a total different thing. I just know that the fear of God need to be in these young boys. Let them know, man, listen, man, if you can't respect these young ladies, leave them the hell alone.
Yeah, I think that's what Franz is.
When I say that,
I think that's what Franz is saying. Right, Franz?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot, you've got, it starts at the top. Let's just face it. It starts at the top. The coach, you're right, Ben. you got 85 of you, but what the coach has got to do is he's got to instill this. If you go out and I find out that you took an underage kid into a bar and you had him drinking and all this other stuff, I don't care who you are. You were going to pay a price like you never dreamed possible.
Yeah.
You
All
put the fear of God starts at the top, and it has to trickle down to the point that when these kids come out, come to your campus, the leaders of that team are telling the other kids that are going out with them, show them a good time, yes, but draw the line here, and if you don't draw the line here, guess what? You'll be trying to draw the line at Western Walla Walla or some other place like that, but it ain't going to be here.
Guys. All right, well said. Now we'll take a break, and Lauren's with us. Stand by. Let's hear a little bit from our good friends at Melton Law.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Melton Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Melton Law, we won't back down.
They won't back down. Here's a guy who won't back down. This guy right here. I'd like to have him on my squad if I was out there. He can bring it pretty good. Good evening to you, Coach Meadows.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're having a good, healthy discussion about the conduct on campuses and talking about Georgia's problems with over 300 traffic or incidents involving automobiles since Kirby's been there. And I get that probably includes tickets, parking tickets, whatever. But the conduct, it's really hard to control, especially when you got all that, you got booze going on and testosterone, all that stuff, and it gets tough. So I know you had that experience, Lauren, in your days.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you just got to get out and make good decisions. And I know that that's easier said than done sometime, or people may say it's cliche, but, we always took the stand where, we tried to look out for our teammates, look out for one another, and, also, tried to make sure that we, like I heard Ben say earlier, that we kind of cherished the women in our circle. We had a nice group of friends, in college and females, and they were kind of what we would call part of the crew, and we were almost like the big brothers to them. And guys on the team, knew what time it was, and that just kind of filtered down through the squad. I mean, I'd hate to say it, but if you look at the generation that we come from, Ben and I are kind of on the back end of that generation where, they used to make songs of Temptations, used to say, treat her like a lady, that was a song, and, taking her, pulling a chair out and helping a woman with her coat and things like that. And, for me, it just, when I went away to school, I just tried to treat any female the way that I would treat my own mother, or like Ben said, you got sisters, or, people like that, and it's just unfortunate because a lot of these young men, whether they play for the team we don't necessarily root for, they've worked extremely hard to get in those situations where they can provide for their families and sometimes make generational wealth. And, it's just a shame that it comes to that. And, I would caution Kirby Smart, that's brought down a program. Our Browse was at the doorstep of getting Baylor back to where they were supposed to be. And those things, start happening to sweep it under the rug. And some of those things are just kind of pass it off. And, it could be a really bad situation. So I would caution Kirby Smart for all his success. I think he, I don't know if he's come out publicly and addressed it or anything, but if certain outlets get a hold of something like that, I mean, it could just be could be tough sledding up there.
Sammy wants to get up here. Sammy boy. All right. I'm babysitting Sammy tonight. Don't knock things
No.
off, Sammy. Yeah, I think this. You're right about that. And let me get Sammy. You're going to have to calm down a little bit. All right, you can't be on the air. One of the things I wanted to get to tonight was, where things. Sammy, got to get down now. You can't do it. Right? I can't do this. Is to the point of programs ascending and descending. Certainly with the France, the showing in the national. What we finished 6th in the Cup, brands 6 overall, whether in nation.
I think we're fifth.
Fifth.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Are you talking about the Directors' Cup?
Yeah, Directors' Cup. I forget it's changed over the years. It's already the golf team and then the track team and the run that Florida made in baseball, what have you. Now we're looking at a time. It's kind of a crucial time for Scott Strickland right now because his 2 biggest revenue sports are not getting it done. I think there's some optimism on both fronts. But getting back to the issue of appearances and directions and what have you, the news tonight that there are 5 players leaving the baseball program. Only one, in my opinion, that really matters. I know the family, and they spoke out. Derek Fabian is a terrific young man. But I wonder if you thought if that was any sign of concern, any reason to be concerned about. I know Sully's going to get players. And friends, I can hear your answer right now. But the point is, does it bother anybody that all of a sudden there are 5 players leaving a team that almost won the national championship? Or is it just a time when players want to go somewhere and play? I'll let you go first, Lauren. You start it, and we'll come back around to Ben and France.
I mean, we talked about it enough, buddy. I just think it's the nature of the beast nowadays. It's where we are in sports. It's was it the and France, you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the catcher from Oklahoma. I mean, national championship team where they won like 80-something games in a row, and she's going back home to play at Nebraska.
The pitcher, Jordy Ball, first team All-American pitcher, Jordy Ball.
Yeah,
to Nebraska, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that's I think that's just the way things are now. I don't think it's indicative, obviously, to any program or what's going on. I just think that's what it's going to be now, and it's sad to say, but there's very little loyalty now. I mean, if you find someone who's loyal, that's going to stick it in. I mean, that's why we glorify that thing now. It used to be we didn't applaud kids that don't transfer and things like that because back then, I mean, they didn't do that. But now it's such the norm that when a kid does stay and stick it out and hang in there, and the Fabian transfer doesn't surprise me. I mean, his playing time is diminished with that team, and I just think it's part of the new normal. I don't necessarily know that it's an indication or an indictment on the Florida athletic program as a whole. I just think they got to Florida track just got a transfer from the Big Ten champ in the 400 meters a little earlier today. I mean, kid from Iowa. So I just think it's just one of those things. It's the new normal now. And like I told you way back when I talked to Kevin Sumlin earlier this year, I ran into him in Daytona. And I asked him about it, and he said, it's the new normal now, and people have to adjust. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I just think it's kind of par for the course now.
Yeah. All right. So Ben, so Ben, if I was in that situation and thought I was better and wasn't playing, I would certainly take him up on a transfer. What are your thoughts about that part of it from the player's standpoint? I think it's a good thing. I think it's kind of screwed up the way coming when it did at the same time as, NIL and the 2 signing day. It just all got convoluted. From the standpoint of the player, Ben, what would be your advice?
I would wish him the best. For portal is just very, very, very. Everybody knows about it. Transferring has been going on as long as anything. This stuff has been happening for as long as college athletics has been around. The difference is now is the perception is not the reality. A lot of these players be thinking, hey, man, I'm not where I want to be at this current point in my career. And it's a thing, right? I mean, Hurston Waldrop, he didn't start out at Florida, right? He was over there at Southern Miss. He came over. BT Raphael, he didn't start off at Florida. He was over there at Coastal Carolina. Well, guys try to pick somewhere they can boost their resume, right? And let's not get past the fact that playing in Florida, man, is a different beast. Like, you are under a different kind of spotlight. And I do agree with what Lawrence said. I just think it's where we are. Like, you're gonna see a lot of transfers now. You really are, because guys got, NIL, they got agents. They got agents before they can get agents.
Right.
They got a lot of people in their ear, but I will say this, right? Don't see a lot of green grass when the wintertime comes. Just telling you, it ain't always what you think. I'm wishing them the best, man. I really, really am. This goes back to like the Xavier Henderson thing. They hit everybody like, hard after the spring game, right? I wasn't surprised, because sometimes two things, the talent in the room and the talent that's coming. Sometimes that's what you're looking at. And they making decisions based off of that stuff. So I'm not mad at them, but just know this. The last time I see you, maybe the last time I see you. Because it ain't gonna always get better. A different situation don't make it a better situation. But I'm rooting for him, man. Especially, Derek Fabian. I know his brother, Jeb. I mean, they come from a very, 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 very like tight-knit family. But I'm wishing him the best. I'm not surprised, because Sully knows this. I'm not gonna lack anything. I don't care who leave. I'm not gonna lack anything, because no matter what, man, Florida lost to the preseason #1 team in the country. And, and listen, you want to know what Florida gonna do? Ask Franz. Franz said we're gonna do at the end of the season. We just came up a game short. It happens, but I just know that sometimes sticking it out might not give you what you wanted in the end, but it still might give you the best shot. But baseball is different, man. Baseball is a different beast, because I just think that, with so many rounds and, minor league baseball being what it is, guys trying to get, I guess, the most exposure. I don't know if you can get better exposure than Florida. I don't know if it comes better than that, but they might be looking for something that I don't have to answer for. But shout out to them, and I'm wishing them the best, because, like I said, Sully is about as well respected of a coach in baseball as it gets, and that's any level.
Franz, bring it home.
Well,
you got the floor.
Kids are going to leave. You've got, and part of it has to do with the NCAA. You've got 35 kids you can have on your roster. 27 of them can be on scholarship. You can bring in a recruiting class of 12, which would put the Gators at 42 for next year, counting the guys that you got leaving. So you're going to have to lose 7 guys, period. And some of those guys are scholarship. It happens. Kids want to play. A guy like Derek Fabian, quite frankly, needs a new start. He came here he was a shortstop, and guess what? He's got Josh Rivera in front of him, All-American. Third base, okay, well, Colby Halter plays like Brooks Robinson at third base. They tried, they loved him in the fall at second base. Guess what? Cade Curlin comes in and goes lights out at the plate. The kid hit 17 home runs as a freshman All-American. He was more or less a kid without a position, but kids are going to leave. That's just the way it is. They want to play. You only have so many places available for you. And, Derek Fabian, I think, has potentially the kind of talent that can get him higher up there. But where's he going to play? Colby Shelton just transferred in from Alabama, a natural shortstop who played third base and made freshman All-America last year. Now, if Colby Halter shifts over to shortstop, fine. If not, Shelton is going to play shortstop. Curland is back. Caglione's at first base. The infield's still set. So he's a kid that's a natural shortstop. Where is he going to play? I don't blame him for doing it. And the fact is, as you look, Florida's got a top 5 recruiting class every single year. And you got guys who want to come. I'll give you a good example. You look at Tennessee. Chase Burns is in the portal. Kid throws 102 miles an hour. I believe he's going to come to Florida. I'll tell you another kid, Luke Coleman, left-handed pitcher at Alabama, big-time prospect. He's looking at coming to Florida. And guys, there are guys on this pitching staff who think, well, I'm going to maybe start next year, be able to pitch. And all of a sudden, you got to bring in the talent. And, Zook said it best. He said, it isn't about X's and O's, it's about Jesse's and Joe's. And it is the same in every single sport. And if you're a coach and they're paying you $1 million a year, they're paying Sully $1.5 million. If you're a coach and you're getting paid $1.5 million a year, you got to look at it like this. How many jobs are out there that I can go get for $1.5 million? Can't do it coaching high school. Can't do it coaching down at University of Tampa. Can't get it over at Jacksonville. This is the University of Florida playing in the SEC. I was on a radio show the other day, and this guy, one coach said, this is the equivalent of playing AA baseball. You look at the facilities, you look at the coaches, you look at the level of play, look at the number of kids that are going to get drafted. It's AA baseball, any way you look at it. And kids, want to come here. And the coach has got to understand this. How many jobs are out there that, same thing with Billy Napier, $7.1 million. Okay, how many $7.1 million jobs are out there in this world? Not too daggum many. I know Lauren makes 7.1 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, Lauren can just stroke checks for $7.1 million. But
some of us make $71 a year.
But there aren't that many jobs that pay that kind of money. And so what do you got to do if you're the coach? You got to bring in better,
Bring the talent in. You got to get better, for sure.
You may love Derek Fabian, but if you got a chance to bring in somebody that hit 25 home runs last year, hit 380.
A lot depends on the position you play. Yeah, you're right. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff, guys. All of you. We're going to say good night. We're all going to say good night to Miss Joni tonight. She's up there in Lauren's head. So I appreciate the love you showed the family. And I'll always remember Francis' fantastic column that he wrote about her. And we're going to have a get together on August the 12th. I have more information on it later. Guys, great job always. Love being on the program with you. Good stuff. I'll talk to you next week. All right. Good night,
appreciate you guys.
All right, folks. I just want to finish off the show by talking about my friends at RentStar, who are such sensational people. And they do a great job in the community in lots of ways, not the least of which is the medical part, but they also support the community in other ways. And they've been on this program now for 5 years supporting me. And I can't thank them enough. Folks over there, including Joe Sorrentino and Mary Brantley and the whole team. I want to tell you about why you need to pay attention, because they're looking out for your health and my health, and they're doing it this way. They have these terrific, high-quality clinical research facilities, and they use it to find out more information about what we need to have better treatment. We all have people and friends or loved ones who go through trying to find the right medication or what have you. But what RentStar does is it has these trials, and they like people from the area to come in when they can, so they can take part in them, because part of what they gather when they're sending off the information is the DNA and the immunity systems of us to understand them better. So they have these clinical research programs for things like Alzheimer's and dementia, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, right here in Ocala. And they study all the conditions that affect our community. And then they put this together and send it off to their partners with prominent pharmaceutical companies, biomedical companies throughout the medical industry to find out how to better take care of us. So if you want to know more, go to the website, rentstar.net, and look them up on the internet, rentstar.net. Find out if you qualify for it. You can take part in it. RentStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks to all our sponsors, including Meldon Law, including Titan MRI, and all the folks who support the program. Thanks to our guests tonight. Kyle Curtis did a good job. Ben Troop, Fran Spear, and Lauren Meadows. I'm Buddy Martin. Have a great weekend, folks. Have a great weekend. Just say good night to Joey.